Thor Love and Thunder marks the 9th time Chris Hemsworth has portrayed everyone's favorite god of thunder in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. His performances have changed some over the years, from petulant entitled rich kid to comedian in a fat suit. Hey everybody, Dragon Movie Guy here. Through 8 feature films and 1 mid-credits scene, Thor Odinson has played a central role in the MCU. Every appearance has been good, but we're looking at which ones are the absolute best. This is Thor MCU Appearances Ranked from worst to best. In at number 9 is Thor's brief appearance during the credits of Doctor Strange. The first Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok were shooting at the same time, so the writers put this brief scene together.
We're looking for my father.
So if you found Odin, you'd all return to Asgard
Promptly.
Great.
Well, excuse me!
As we now know, Chris Hemsworth has quite the comedy chops in addition to the 8-pack abs. So this was a fun bon mot at the end of 2016's Doctor Strange. It's not a long scene, but it does show much of the fun to come from Thor Ragnarok and Chris Hemsworth in particular.
I think people are starting to learn this about Chris. They are both hilarious. Especially for guys known as dramatic actors.
This bon mot might not be much, but it is a good way to kick off Thor's MCU appearance ranking. In at number 8 is Thor Love and Thunder, the second Thor movie directed by Taika Waititi, and the return of Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, the role she left behind after 2013's Thor: The Dark World.
Jane?
What's it been like, 3-4 years?
8 years, 7 months, and 6 days, give or take.
After the events of Avengers Endgame, Thor abdicates the throne of Asgard and leaves with the Guardians of the Galaxy, even after Thanos' threats still haunt the people of Asgard, and this time it's Christian Bale's Gorr the God Butcher threatening Thor and his people.
Times like this, we need to unite, come together. I'm sorry, me. Very hard to get a rousing speech with the noise.
Thor's search for his purpose takes a backseat to Jane's return and the fight versus Gorr. There's not much of a personal connection or conflict between Thor and Gorr. Gorr's mission to kill all gods with his powerful weapon, the Necrosword, and Thor's possession of Stormbreaker brings the two powerful warriors to a head. Both Gorr's power and purpose seem forced. Combine that with Thor not being sure of who he is, and you get somewhat of a confused story told by confused characters.
Thor, this is my vow. All gods will die.
And that's the truth.
The confused and garbled nature of Thor's purpose and motivations in Thor Love and Thunder have this movie second from the bottom on my list. In at number 7 is Thor: The Dark World, Thor's third appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the sequel to the 2011 Thor solo film. Thor beat the Frost Giants in the first Thor movie and defeated Loki in the Avengers. But he doesn't take much pleasure in life, even when it presents himself right in front of him in the form of Lady Sif.
Take a drink with me. It does not go unnoticed that you disappear each night. Future King of Asgard must focus on more than one.
Whoa, very nice.
While I love Thor: The Dark World, I understand some of the criticism it's taken over the years. The Dark World is the least Thor-centric of all of the stories being told. Loki takes center stage most of the film, Loki goes to jail, Loki mourns his mother's death, and...
You must be truly desperate to come to me for help.
Hope no longer exists to protect you. You betray me, and I will kill you.
Jane Foster has a whole separate storyline on Earth and is infected by the Ether/Reality Stone. Jane even tries dating a normal man. All of the action and storylines surround Thor, but very few directly involve him. Even the villain Malekith doesn't have much of a connection to Thor and has some of the worst, most generic dialogue of any Marvel villain.
Death would have come to you soon enough.
Not by your hand.
Your world and your family will be extinguished!
Well, isn't that special?
As far as Thor performances go, Thor: The Dark World features the least emotional range or inner conflict for Chris Hemsworth to play around with out of any Thor appearance in the MCU. If you're liking this video so far, please be sure to hit the like button until it turns black. That helps out with the algorithm. In at number 6 is Avengers: Age of Ultron, the second Avengers flick that helps set up all of Phase 3. Age of Ultron may have sacrificed the immediate storytelling of the film for the greater good of the franchise, but fans and Thor himself were more than a little frustrated at the time.
Use your words, buddy. I have more than enough words to describe you, Stark.
This could have been avoided if you hadn't played with something you don't understand.
Thor goes missing for much of the second act, literally trying to relive a dream caused by Wanda Maximoff, aka the one where Thor spends half of the film dreaming away shirtless in a hot tub. Most of Ultron's story is centered around the developing schism between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, trying to set up civil war. On top of introducing Wanda and Pietro Maximoff and the creation of the Vision, much of Thor's story takes a back seat, but there's always time for a shirtless Chris Hemsworth scene in an MCU movie.
Wake up!
Thor sees the Infinity Stones, foreshadowing the events of Avengers 3 and 4, and with the help of the Vision, helps take down Ultron for good. We even get to see a little of the humor that Chris Hemsworth brought to Thor in Ragnarok.
I am Thor, son of Odin. I am running out of things to say. Are you ready?
Thor doesn't have much of a dramatic arc in Ultron, but his ever-present energy and strength still stands out in an ever-expanding Avengers cast. In at number 5 is Thor, the first appearance of Thor Odinson in the MCU, serving as Chris Hemsworth's first appearance in the role.
You are a vain, greedy, cruel boy. You're unworthy. Cut you off.
The mighty Thor starts off his origin story film having all of the physical gifts of Thor, but none of the emotional maturity. He may be 1,500 years old, but he's so hungry for blood and action, Odin decides he needs a lesson in humility. The character arc for Thor in the first film is ripped straight from the classic hero's journey. The film has a cosmic epic scale, but is told in a grounded, small-town New Mexico setting.
Whatever I have done to lead you to do this, I am truly sorry.
Thor goes from selfish and power-hungry to caring for people he's barely met when the Destroyer robot attacks the town Jane Foster and Eric Selvig have been calling home while doing their research. A depowered Thor gives his own life to spare the lives of the townspeople, but is killed by a cheap shot from the robot. It's only through this sacrifice that Thor proves he is worthy of the power that Mjolnir brings.
Know this, son of Cole. You and I, we fight for the same cause, the protection of this world.
A bit predictable now that we've seen 29 MCU movies and counting, but the acting and emotional journey are top-notch. Sir Anthony Hopkins provides so much gravitas as Odin, even in a small role, for Chris Hemsworth to bounce off of and set the tone for the series. In at number 4 is Marvel's The Avengers, Thor's second appearance in the MCU, and the final time we see Chris Hemsworth's eyebrows bleached blonde. Following up on the first Thor movie, Chris Hemsworth's character has matured emotionally, but his brother Loki has become the big bad for the Avengers movie itself.
Our father.
Your father.
You give up the Tesseract! You give up this poisonous dream! Come home.
Thor is the last of the Avengers to appear in the film, finally showing up 44 minutes into the flick. He may have proven himself to not be a hostile force after the incident in New Mexico, but he's far from proven he can work within the confines of a team, especially when Loki's scepter, aka the Mind Stone, is messing with their minds.
Let's go a few rounds.
You people are so petty and tiny.
Thor's concern for his brother and the people of Earth become clear throughout the first Avengers movie, showing a Norse god who has learned to think beyond his own self-interests. However, his desire to fight for the heart and mind of his adopted brother nearly sacrifices the Earth in the process.
Look at this! Look around you! You think this madness will end with your rule? It's too late.
Well, duh.
We get to see Thor fight Iron Man and Captain America, as well as Thor's first cinematic battle with the Hulk. But most of Thor's role in the Avengers is as an attempted negotiator and overpowered soldier. Fun to watch, but that's why it's not higher on my list. To see more ranking videos like this one, please be sure to hit the red subscribe button until it turns white. That'll let you know whenever I post a new video. In at number 3 is Avengers Infinity War, the third Avengers movie picking up shortly after Thor Ragnarok. We find Thor and the Asgardian survivors who barely made it out of Thor 3 with their lives, now being overwhelmed by Thanos and his henchmen.
You're going to die for that.
Thor had already lost his mother in the Dark World years earlier, then lost his father Odin and secret sister Hela, and saw Asgard destroyed in Ragnarok. Now, Thor loses half of his remaining people, his closest friend Heimdall, and adopted brother Loki right in front of his eye.
Rage and vengeance, anger. Thanos is just the latest in a long line of bastards.
And what if you're wrong?
Well, if I'm wrong, then what more could I lose?
Thor uses his rage and focus to face down Thanos again. This time with his new axe, Stormbreaker, the God of Thunder takes his best shot at the Mad Titan.
Bring me Thanos! You should have gone for the head.
Thor goes on one hell of a journey in Infinity War, but he surprisingly hasn't hit bottom yet. For that to happen, we have to hit number 2 on our list. In at number 2 is Avengers Endgame, the completion of the Infinity Saga. More importantly for this video, it's also the completion of Thor's dramatic arc of losing anything and everyone he's ever loved, and his attempt to cope with the resulting depression.
Boy! So good to see you. I know you think I'm down there wallowing in my own self-pity, but I'm fine, okay? We're fine, aren't we?
All good here, mate.
Yes, that's Fat Thor, or Bro Thor, as Marvel likes to call him. Each of our Avengers takes up a different stage of grief. Thor's depression has manifested in overindulgence of food and drink, and saying goodbye to those glorious abs. It's not until Thor travels back in time to see his dearly departed mom that the God of Thunder starts to heal.
The future hasn't been kind to you, has it? I see with more than eyes. You know that.
I'm totally from the future.
It may not be the reunion he hoped for, but it's the reunion Thor needed. Beyond that, Thor finds out he's still worthy. Thor gets to take a bite out of Thanos, this time without Thanos possessing the Infinity Stones. It never hurts to have a worthy super soldier on your side.
I knew it. Give me that. You have the little one.
I like how Thor isn't just miraculously healed of his depression, even if he has turned the corner. When Thor suits up for battle, he doesn't just get his abs back, he fights the way he currently is, fat suit and all. In at number 1 is Thor Ragnarok, the third Thor solo film and the funniest Thor movie to date, despite having the darkest material.
Angry, I lost my father. I lost my hammer. Don't kick stuff.
Thor loses so much in Ragnarok. Odin dies, Mjolnir blows up, Asgard's armies are killed, and Asgard itself explodes. One would think that the tone would be much darker, but new director Taika Waititi uses comedy to turn the mourning and darkness into fun and light. Waititi uses Thor's male bonding with Banner and the Hulk to cope with these losses and the many more to come.
And when I spun it really, really fast, it gave me the ability to fly.
You rode a hammer.
It would pull me off
Oh my god.
the ground. It would pull me off the ground.
Sounds like you had a pretty special and intimate relationship with this hammer.
Besides all the cool fight scenes and colorful scenery, the core of this film is our talented cast of actors playing off one another. Thor and Banner share several scenes that feel ripped straight out of The Odd Couple, or even a Woody Allen movie.
I don't want to fight your sister. That's a family issue.
She's an evil being.
I don't care what she is.
The Hulk is the fire.
Wait, you're just using me to get to the Hulk.
So much of Ragnarok jumps off the screen, and Thor's journey matches perfectly with the other character arcs. Banner / the Hulk, Valkyrie, and even Loki all start at one place and end up someplace completely different by the end. All while facing two of the best villains in the MCU to date, Jeff Goldblum's Grand Master and Cate Blanchett's Hela. This is why Thor Ragnarok is my number 1 Thor appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You've seen my list, now let me know what you think. Which of Thor's appearances in the MCU is number 1 on your list? To see my other franchise ranking videos, please be sure to click right over here. I've been Dragon Movie Guy, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next.